welcome to Read with Dee. Today I'm reading The Fox and the Crow. Once upon a time, a large crow sat on a branch and enjoyed the warm summer sunshine. This was a special day for the crow. In his beak, he had a piece of cheese. What a tasty treat! The crow had snatched the hunk of cheese from an old man's house. The man, unaware that a hungry crow had been flying nearby, had tossed the cheese onto his kitchen table while he was preparing lunch. The cheese's delicious aroma had wafted out of the open window and had tickled the crow's nostrils. The big bird had watched it until the old man had left the room and then had hopped through the window. The tile floor had been a bit slippery, but the crow had managed to safely cross the room and had hopped onto the table to where the tempting treat had been laying. How wonderful! This will make a fantastic feast for Mrs. Crow and our little ones, the bird had exclaimed. The crow had picked up the cheese with his beak and had flown toward the window. Little did he know that the old man's cat had spotted him, and he was determined not to let him escape. Just before the crow had reached the window, the cat had pounced, trapping the bird in his big paws. The crow had panicked. He dropped the cheese and he had pecked the cat with his beak. The cat had been quite surprised. He hadn't expected the bird to fight back. With a pained meow, the cat had released the thief, but not before having plucked some of his feathers. The crow had grabbed the piece of cheese from where it had fallen. Although he was quite sore from the scuffle, he had flapped his wings and had left the house as the old man was taking care of his injured cat. Tender and bruised from his fight with the cat, the crow had landed on a leafy branch to rest. Now he was finally able to relax, knowing that he was far enough from the man's house that he would be spotted with a hunk of cheese. The crow was very pleased with his victory over the cat. He had fought bravely for his freedom and his family's meal. Mrs. Crow would surely be proud of him and sing his praise. He was a hero! Resting on the branch, the crow dozed off, holding the cheese tightly in his beak. A fox soon approached the tree, lured by the yummy scent of the cheese. He tried to climb the tree trunk so he could snatch it, but he quickly tumbled to the ground. There had to be another way to get that cheese. Sitting under the tree, the hungry fox came up with a clever plan. "Hello up there, Mr. Crow. You are certainly a handsome bird," said the fox. The bird had wondered if he was dreaming. What was the fox up to? He shook his dark feathers and tried to go back to sleep. "Excuse me for being so bold, Mr. Crow," the fox continued, "but your good looks are so distracting. Golly, if your voice is as lovely as those glossy feathers of yours, you're surely the king of the forest. Will you sing me a tune?" Charmed by the fox's compliments, the crow opened his mouth to sing, dropping his piece of cheese. Eager to impress the fox with a wonderful performance, the crow lifted a wing and caught the first few notes of a familiar song. Imagine his surprise when he saw the fox pick up the fallen cheese with his teeth. "That's what you get for trusting a flatterer," the fox sneered as he ran into the forest. The crow had been tricked. He was so embarrassed that he'd fallen for it. Foxes had a reputation for being sneaky. He really should have known better. Just then, the crow noticed that the sun was getting low in the sky. It was time to return home to his nest. What will I tell Mrs. Crow and the children? He wondered aloud. Oh, I am such a fool. I'll never let anyone trick me again. On his way home, the crow hurriedly gathered some food for his family's dinner. He couldn't return empty-handed. He collected fruit, hunted insects, and took eggs from other birds' nests. Mrs. Crow and the chicks were delighted with the evening meal. They hurried to the table and quickly gobbled up all the food that Mr. Crow had brought home. But Mr. Crow didn't eat anything. He sat quietly while his family enjoyed their meal, thinking about the day's adventure. Before long, the family gathered around the evening fire. Mrs. Crow noticed something was wrong and asked her husband what was bothering him. "What's going on?" she asked. "You seem distracted." "Yes, it's true. There's something I have to tell you," replied Mr. Crow. The children stopped playing. Mrs. Crow laid down her knitting, and even the clock seemed to stop ticking. Mr. Crow's family waited anxiously to hear what he had to say. "Earlier today, I battled a man and his cat to steal a piece of cheese for you," he began. "I got the cheese," said Mr. Crow, "but while I was resting before my journey home, a sly fox tricked me into dropping it and stole the cheese from me. He flattered me with all sorts of compliments, and I fell for his trap. I feel so silly for being so vain. I'm so sorry I lost the cheese." "But, Father, you know we don't like cheese," the chicks cried together. Relieved, Mr. Crow joined his family's laughter. The end.